If you want to be a trainer, corporate trainer, BPO trainer, or a classroom trainer, let me tell you, the day-to-day of this kind of job is, I would say, still a bit repetitive and structured, especially for a big company like where I was before. The main job really of a trainer obviously is to run or handle a class. Welcome to Career Chronicles, where we explore and discover different jobs and career paths and unveil insider information to help answer your burning questions. Typical day in the life of a corporate trainer or a BPO trainer. Of course, your main role is to handle a class. At most, I handled about 25 to 26 people, and that was already huge. It was overwhelming. But because we were a vendor account, we would really need to hit a certain number of people every training because every training costs money, obviously. And so they would have to put in as many people as possible in one class. I think the smallest class I had was with 9 people only. I liked it because it was easier to get around and to finish the class on a day-to-day basis, but it was also kind of boring because there were only 9 of them. Still, I wasn't complaining. It could happen. But really, your main job is to teach these people the process, rules and regulations, customer service skills, voice and accent foundation, everything that there is to know about the account. Another typical day would be you studying the materials. I know for me, it was both update training and new hire training. So for new hire training, as soon as I finished my certification, I was pretty much familiar with the materials. And the materials were given by the client. We just needed to study them. So after a few classes, really, I could teach the lessons even while closing my eyes because I just really got used to teaching those lessons again and again, over and over again. They're just very repetitive. And if it's a new training update or if it is a new material from the client, then that's a time that you'd have to study the material every day so that you could get used to it and you could teach it properly to your students or your trainees. For me, eventually it became easier and easier by the day or by the month because like what I said earlier, you would just be repeating the same lessons every class. But in our account, because it was financial and banking, we couldn't be complacent because a lot of things change. For example, pricing, costs, fees, regulations from the US, things like that. So we still had to really be on top of everything and study the updates every single day. You would have to be updated because you are their source of information and you are going to be the one to relay that information to them. You are the subject matter expert, so you have to keep yourself informed every single day. Aside from that, we also are following a certain agenda provided by the client, at least in our account, because for some other companies or accounts, you might be required to create your own modules or create your own lessons or agenda. But for us, we have a set timeline. So on a day-to-day, you'd have to follow the timeline. For example, for day 1, these are the things that you'd have to teach the class. We have some activities, quizzes, assessments as applicable. And the next day, you'll have to follow day 2, so on and so forth, until you finish the entire training period. So again, it's pretty much very structured. I liked it that way too, because at least I already know which lessons will be covered for a certain day. It will also be easier for the learners or for the trainees because they know what to expect. So if your account or your company does not have a training material or agenda for you that's already ready-made, you just need to follow, then that's going to be an additional task. So on the day-to-day, I would be standing, going around the room, making sure everyone was participating and engaging, doing the activities as assigned, and making sure that no one was sleeping. Because as a trainer, you have to make sure that everyone is learning every single day, right? And you couldn't just be sitting there and watching them from your station, which is in front usually. We are always encouraged to roam around and see what your trainees are up to. But then again, I also think it would depend on the setup of the room, because the setup of our classroom before was, this is a station of the trainer, and then the seats were vertical in a vertical orientation from the trainer. So it's not like a usual classroom in school where you have the desks set up horizontally. And lastly, on the daily, you would also have to do admin tasks. We did a lot of those things. And because these trainees are still new in the company, you are still their first point of contact, meaning every time there will be like issues about their pre-employment requirements, payroll, attendance, performance, and everything like that, you'd have to take care of them. And there are 25 people or 26 people. So it can really take time to make sure that everyone's needs were taken care of. So for me, that time, the first few weeks of me being a full-time trainer, I would be on overtime without pay because I just wanted to make sure everything would be fine the next day. But eventually, I still got the hang of it, and I would go home right after my shift. So as with any other job, when you get used to it, it will become so much easier and so much better. What inspired me was my hunger back then to climb the corporate ladder of success. Back in 2009 or 2010, I wanted to achieve something. I wanted to dream big. And I thought that climbing the corporate ladder, getting promoted, was the only way for me to call myself successful and to call myself relevant. I realize now that it's a different world out here, and titles may mean something, but in the grand scheme of things, they actually don't. If you do meaningful work and if you really want what you're doing, then that's what matters most. But of course, when I was starting, I was still young and a little bit naive, and that was the only thing that's most important for me, especially I still did not have a family back then. So I only had myself to think of. I was really inspired to move up in whatever way. And I thought, yeah, maybe among the options that I've had back then, I especially wanted to become a trainer because I felt like I was confident with my product knowledge, with my skills, and I was also pretty good in communicating in English. And I thought that I could do the job if I had proper training, or if the expectations were set properly, then I think I could do it. So I applied for the peer trainer position. It's kind of like a training ground to becoming a lead trainer. And I was already pregnant back then. It was like a huge step for me to work on being promoted, but also think of a human being inside of me. You know, those two things happening at the same time were kind of overwhelming, especially for a young mom like me. And so I did not back down. I think the first application, I was not able to submit my resume or my intent to apply. But when I went back from my leave, it turned out that the application or the slot was still open. They were still hiring. It was an internal hiring. Yes, I was coming from being a call center agent or customer service specialist / telephone banker. And so I told myself, maybe this is a sign that I should really apply, because the first time I did not submit and now it's still open. That means that I still have a chance to apply. So that's what I did. And I was really inspired because I think that time I was doing something for my career. I was doing something to propel my career forward. Challenges and rewards. Okay, the first challenge for me was when my trainees would not pass their metrics, because I would feel that had something to do about me or the way I taught them, and that's why they did not pass. Of course, these things are also outside your control, and if you did your best as the trainer, you saw that other trainees were able to handle it, and there were like one or two people who probably did not pass. Just be patient and don't punish yourself too much. That could happen, especially during transition period when the trainees are still like using the learnings they've had in the classroom and applying it into real life calls. That's going to take some sort of adjustment for them, and it's normal. Another challenge would be their attendance, their performance, even their personal issues. Because again, you are their first point of contact. So back then, I would still usually had to take care of personal issues. Like trainee A would need to be absent because she had to take care of her family. And then trainee B needed to be absent because she has class, things like that. It all affects your overall performance as a trainer. You will be questioned at the end of the day why there are a lot of absences, leads, performance metrics that were not hit. So you are going to be the brunt of everything. And it is just normal in a sense, but that also will make you feel like, you're overwhelmed because you have to handle all of these people's problems when you have your own problems in the first place. So that's one of the challenges. Another thing is changing shift schedules due to factors that you are unable to control, like classroom availability. I knew back then we had very limited classrooms, and when we were ramping or hiring a lot of people, we could not fit everyone in one class. So we had to shuffle classrooms around, and that means our schedules would also be affected. There were a lot of times when I had to go on a day shift on week 1, and then on week 2, we had to go on a night shift. So that's how messed up it was. But we have to do it because that's part of the job. Aside from that, another challenge is going to be your voice. Your voice is your human capital in this case. Remember, you would be speaking every single day, almost nonstop, similar to when you are taking calls. But in this case, you are going to speak, you are going to stand for the entire day and teach the lessons to your learners, trainees, making sure that they understand, because when they get to the floor, everything that they're going to tell their clients or their customers are pretty much coming from you. So it would reflect on you how well you taught them and how well you disciplined them inside the classroom. Rewards. One of the biggest rewards really was fulfillment. When you see your trainees doing well on the floor and they are like butterflies, they're spreading their wings. They already know how to handle customers or clients on their own with less assistance or with minimal supervision. You will really feel proud because these are your babies. These are your people. These are people that you've taught inside the classroom. So somehow, at the end of the day, even though it was a very exhausting and tiring job, you'd still feel fulfilled. And I think that was one of the things that really helped me stay long in that job or in that role. And I'm not even bluffing because it wasn't about the money or compensation or anything like that. Believe it or not, the compensation was not compensating at all. It was not big. It was just enough. And for someone like me who just had a baby back then, it was barely enough to, help me get by with a new baby. And until now, I still do see people getting compensated that particular salary range around 25,000 pesos to 30,000 pesos. If you're a beginner, that might sound big to you, but as someone who has moved up the ladder, 25,000 to 30,000 does not really seem big to me. So although the job was really fulfilling, at the end of the day, it still is not enough for me financially. So that was why I had to move on to a different direction in terms of my career path. But that's a story for another day. Okay, skill set. Essential skills. I would say number one is really excellent English communication skills. You have to be comfortable with the English language and have a good command of the English language because this is your mode of teaching. You will be teaching the class in English, and you're not supposed to code switch. What I mean is that you're not supposed to like switch from English to Tagalog or Bisaya, especially while inside the classroom, because you are going to set the example that every one of them should be speaking English so that they'll get used to assisting their clients in English. That's just the way it is. So if you're not very comfortable in speaking the language, then I'm not saying it's not possible, but it might be a little bit harder and more challenging. But still, it's worth a try if you find that being a trainer is something that you can pursue. Another is your patience in everything. Problems that are not yours will be yours and intentionally or eventually that's going to happen. So you'll have to be patient. There are some trainees who will have a slower learning curve. Other trainees will learn faster depending on their background and their experience. And remember, you have, say, even if you have less than 25 people, you still have to consider the learning pace of the other trainees because you can't just move to a new lesson if the rest of the trainees are struggling. So that's kind of like a pattern that we're seeing. Like you really have to make sure that you're all in the same page at the same time. And maybe that doesn't happen and you don't know it. You just move on to the next lesson, but there are still a lot of trainees who do not understand what you're talking about, but they're just embarrassed to say it, so they will just say, no, I don't have any questions when you ask. It's okay, it happens. Again, the point is to be patient because at some point when you're already on the next lesson, some trainees would still ask questions about the previous lesson. And yeah, that's what I meant by patience. There will always be questions from them. Next skill is ability to retain knowledge and information. You are, again, the subject matter expert, and you're going to teach your trainees in a span of, say, a month or two. And it will really be a huge advantage for you if you can retain information quickly and you don't forget things easily. If you do, it will be a bit of a challenge because they will be asking you questions and you have to be quick most of the time. But that also doesn't mean that you have to know everything or you have to know the answers. You just really have to be able to absorb as much information as you can and teach it well, and at the same time show that you are confident while you are teaching it. And next thing, facilitation skills. Strong facilitation skills. It is needed because you wouldn't want to be spoon feeding your class. So when you're just presenting, when you're just giving out information, when you ask questions and then you're also the one answering those questions, you might need to adjust your strategy a little bit. You'd want your trainees to answer your questions and not just you giving out answers to them. So you facilitate the discussion so that they are able to answer your questions and discuss something meaningful in the class. Not just you taking care of the class, but it's like a collaborative session. Everyone is engaging and everyone is participating so that you'll be able to bring out the best in your trainees and their energy level is always up. And trust me, it's really challenging to keep that up, especially when you're training in the afternoon when it's like sleeping time for most people. But then again, your skill is going to help you make sure that the class is going to be engaged during your entire training period. When it comes to educational pathways, there is no specific course that you need to have to become a trainer. Actually, whatever course or major you have in college, and even if you are a college undergraduate, you're still eligible as long as you were a good performer back in your phone time days when you were an agent or when you were a specialist. And I'm saying this because most of the time in the BPO or in companies, they promote internally. So coming from an agent level, they would promote that person to become the trainer, just like what happened to me. And if you're not promoted internally, then obviously you will probably be hired externally or you're coming from a different organization. But still, there's no specific educational pathway. If you feel that you're confident in handling this role or your job, then go ahead and apply regardless of your course. Unique aspects of the job. Let's see. One thing I can think of is that even though you're a subject matter expert, you actually don't need to know everything. In fact, if your trainees have questions, you can always spark the question if you don't know the answer. And it is so much better than telling them the answer even when you're not sure, because then you're not able to take it back if you find out that it's actually incorrect. So what I would usually say is that, let me get back to you. I will research and I will ask for the correct answer for that question. And it's as simple as that. Being confident doesn't mean you have to be a know-it-all. For me, when you're confident, you're also confident to tell people that you don't know the answer and that it is okay. But then again, you have to convey the message that even when you don't know the answer at the moment, you know where to find the answer and you'll be able to bring them the right answer as applicable or as needed in their jobs. Another thing is that we're actually required to take calls every month because we need to walk the talk. We need to brush up on our product knowledge and customer service skills because, well, honestly, we are going to be the ones teaching the class. So if you know how to take calls, that probably means you can relay those skills or you can teach those skills to your class. And it's going to be so much better because you've already had the first-hand experience on that. I don't know if this is a unique thing, but whenever there's no class, which is very rare, that's probably the only time you can chill and relax. It's always going to be busy every single day for you. So in my case, I started as a peer trainer, and then I was endorsed to a class with a senior trainer. I'd have to undergo certification. I will have to observe first and then be co-certified. That means I'm going to teach the class with my senior trainer and then go through a full certification wherein I will teach or handle a class by myself and then with a senior trainer evaluating my performance. And then after that, we have the trainer certification program. And when there's already an item for you, there's a job opening for you, they'll put you in that slot and then you become a lead trainer. For observation, you will have to just that, sit there and observe. You look at what the trainer is doing. You take notes as much as you can. You learn as much as you can while observing. You ask questions. You learn as much as you can because you're not really doing anything there. You're just sitting and observing for the entire duration of the training period. And then the next step, at least for us, it's co-certification. That means you are going to teach together with the trainer or the senior trainer just so you can get the hang of it. And then your senior trainer will give you an evaluation, will give you feedback, see how else you can improve. And if you're good to go, you can run your own class. So it's a full certification. You'll be running the class by yourself with your senior trainer there, observing you, rating you, giving you feedback until you are already good to go. You can be endorsed to run your own class without a senior trainer beside you. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works, at least for us. And then we also had like a trainer certification program. This was a really good training ground for me. I've learned so much from this. And then after that 1 week training that we had with a senior trainer as well, we would do a training demo. And that's when they will rate us. And if we pass that, then we are going to be legit trainers. And I'm proud to say that I passed my trainer certification program with flying colors after so much anxiety and preparation, but we did it. Okay, and then the next step is you become a lead trainer. Sometimes, though, you don't get the title, but you're already doing the job. It just happens in some other companies. It happened to me. I'm already doing the job of a lead trainer, but I'm still a peer trainer on paper and my salary is still like that. It took a while for me to become a lead trainer, to be honest. I already passed my trainer certification. I already did everything, but since like there's still no slot for me, corporate stuff, they have to wait until these things open up so they can put you in it. And you have to wait for that job opening to actually get the title and be official. And then you'll have that salary for the lead trainer. So that's pretty much the career path that I have had. Industry trends and challenges. So current trends. Video materials, I would say. Video materials like this, like mine, like everything that you can see on my channel. I get so many messages coming from people telling me that their trainers are using my videos as their training materials. Because, back then, you could just repeat yourself every single month as a trainer. Train it again and again and again because we believe that that's the best way to go about it. Like you have to teach it again because different people in every class, right? But now the rise of online-based training, computer-based training make it so much easier for trainers to get their message across. Just supplement the existing online videos or trainings that they have. It's going to save them so much time, going to save them effort and money as well, right? Just imagine if they're already teaching the things that I've been teaching on my channel, just show my videos to their trainees. That's so much easier for them, right? And yeah, that's definitely a time saver for trainers and companies. And in fact, I've had so many projects working with companies and organizations, making training videos for them because, I also believe that that is really a good way to make use of a material, repurpose a material, especially if your service or your product does not really change that much. Like there are no monthly changes that will require the trainer to create another video. If it's just pretty much the same year by year, then it's so much easier to just show them a video, get them to do the training at their own pace, especially if it's an online training or just doing the training at home, and then gather everyone in a class and then answer questions that they may have about the training. Well, different people, different styles. So some people might still want an actual trainer to teach everything. Some people might be okay with watching the trainer doing an online training. It really depends, but that's the trend that I'm seeing right now. And I think it's really a time saver. Okay, now, salary information for a BPO trainer. I cannot speak for the ones who are working as a trainer today. Comment below if you are, and if you're willing to share your basic, why not? But when I was a trainer, my basic pay was 25,000 pesos. Only. It wasn't big, but the job was super stressful and super tiring. But yes, it was rewarding and it was fulfilling. So 25,000 pesos it is. It's okay. But from there, I was also given small increases year by year. So when I left, I think I was at about 26 something thousand pesos basic pay, okay? That does not include allowances, and that's like before taxes. So after taxes, I would just get, I don't know, about 12, 13K. It wasn't big. It wasn't big. Hopefully, you'll find a better salary at this point in your life. I think when I researched about the salaries, it's still about the same. Some companies or accounts might offer bigger, especially if you have a relevant experience or if you're coming from a different company. So you can definitely negotiate it. Advice for beginners or newbies who want to take this career path of becoming a trainer: you have to be all in and super committed, because there are a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to improve on yourself, and you will be considered a subject matter expert. As I mentioned earlier, everyone will look up to you and will expect you to know basically almost everything. And even if you don't know everything, you have to work on yourself and make sure that you know where to find the answers. Seek support from your senior trainers, managers, because I must say, you cannot do it alone. You really need someone to guide you and someone to give you feedback to say that, yes, you're doing the right thing, and no, that's not it, that you have to change it, because you really want to give your best for your trainers. At least that's how I felt when I was a trainer. I did not want to give a half-assed job because these are real people learning from you. And whatever they learn from you, they will take it with them when they take calls. And when they do good, it's such a fulfilling feeling for you. So that's about it for this episode. I hope you learn from my journey. And if you have questions, feel free to comment below, let me know, and I'll reply. I will see you again on my next episode of Career Chronicles. But for today, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.